All right, this is our first tutorial, and in this first tutorial, we're going to look at the page builder we're going to be using all semester long, as well as how to use native blocks, right? Two birds, one stone here. So once you log into tilde.cc, you will get into interactive storytelling, and by the time you log in, I should have pages for everyone in the class, a tutorial page to do all of this tutorial work, so find that one with your name on it, but also a project page where you'll put all your prototypes and build your final project in. So once you find your page, go ahead and click on it. And here we see, well, we get started. You can look for blocks. That's what we need to do, right? Everything is blocks in Tilde. Tilde is a very constrained page builder. It says it's for general websites. I don't completely buy it. But there's benefits to being constrained, right? It's less complicated, and that's why we're using it. So let's just start with a block. Here's a text block, and we want to just mark that we're in module 2, right? So let's go ahead and just find us I know there's just, where's title and text? I just missed it. Title and text, there we go, super simple, title and text, right? And so you see here, it's as easy as this. We're going to go module 2, we're going to call it, we don't need to call it anything. We'll just remove that. And we don't need that either, so I'll just remove that. And it just kind of removes it, and yeah, there's a lot of space there. I'm sure we could go fix things, but we don't care about that. Let's care about what we're going to build. And so you will have to have downloaded from Icon the native blocks assets. And you're going to see in here, I've got a text document with our information, right? Because this is all about information. I've got a couple of images, which I don't love. I would never put all this text in images, but I'd make them in interactives or something, but we're just pretending, right? And then I have a couple of sounds in there for part of the content. So we'll go ahead and open up the text file so that we can cut and paste from it. I'll just close this right here. And so let's pretend we've already figured out, boy, too many things open. We've already figured out our purpose and pattern. We've decided we want to make an accordion. And we're going to do that because this is going to be about bird identification clues. Now we could make a stepper, we could make other things, but we've decided that this is the right pattern for us. It's encyclopedic. It reduces cognitive load by letting a person open one thing at a time, right? So we're using that encyclopedic, spatial kind of and participatory affordances, right? So, all right, we need to go looking, right? So how do you know what blocks it has? Well, generally you could go looking, Google for the features list. I couldn't find a really good just list of blocks for Tilde, or really for a lot of these builders. So you just got to go start playing around in here, right? So image blocks, right? But I know for a fact it's in text block, and they do not call it accordion. They call it text in drop-down items on the background. There's also this one that doesn't have a background. Really doesn't matter which one you use, just whichever one vibes with you better. I think they both have the same capabilities. They just have a slight different styling, right? So let's just click on this one, because why not? All right, so here it is. High quality, good support individual approach. We click on one, oh look, it opens up and it shows us what it has. So that's all the interaction we're gonna have. So let's grab our first stuff here, which accordion 1, size and shape. So I'm gonna come over here and put size and shape, right? I'm gonna come over here, grab all of our content. Well, actually, I'm gonna grab all of the content right here and see how it pastes it in. I'm going to press it. Okay, so then there we go. All right, so it does make them new paragraphs. So you see here, now this right here should be a bulleted list. I know it's not in there, but we got to go find, oh, look, here's a marked list. There we go. We don't need that space there. There we are. Now that looks nice. Ah, boy, it's clicky. So that's what it should look like inside. Now there's one more thing I want inside, which is an image. So I have an image. But let's just go ahead and put all the text in. So real quick, I'm just going to, and you could fast forward this, or maybe I'll try to fast forward this in the thing, right? I'll throw color pattern. I'll get its stuff here. Open up. Open up. Great. Individual approach is beak shape. and it's there. Now the last thing we have, you notice we have four information for 4 accordions. So we got to go figuring out, well, what do we do? How do we add more accordions in, right? So again, you're looking for where's the capabilities, and I'm sure it doesn't just take 2. So let's, in Tilde, we really have these 2 sections here, settings and content. Settings are usually more overall styling and things, and content is just like it sounds. So let's hit content. And we want to click on items. And now we see those items that we have. And also, we see something about uploading an image. We can click on them and open. But for us, what we really care about right now, add a new item. Great. So now I can do it over here instead of over here. So I could have done that the whole time. So again, it's like, what do you prefer? There's 5 ways to do it. So I'll just go ahead and grab these, put them in the description, save and close, and there it is. I've got 4 things here, right, that I can use as my accordion. All right, interesting. Now I want images, right? So actually I want 2 things. I want images, and I want, in this one, I want to play some audio. Let's see if we can do it, because let's go back over here. Control versus responsibility. You're going to see native blocks, right? Our control is low, and our responsibility, but luckily our responsibility is low. It's going to do a lot for us that we don't have to do. We'll go through the 5 A's in a second. Right now we're just we're looking for the capabilities of our thing. So that's great. Let's say I want 1 image in each of these. Well, it looks like I have to go through content, and I go into items, and now what if I wanted 2 images? Well, does it let me add another image in anything? I'm going to look through here for any kind of thing. Looks like generate with AI. I don't know if that would actually help me, but I don't see another way to add an image. All I see is this single upload a file. So I'll do it. I'm going to upload a file. I'm going to go over to my files. Oops. Right. And I had, what was it? It was, this one is shape, this first one. So I'm going to just drag it in there. Now, obviously, you should know the file sizes and things like that. But no matter what size you gave it, right, this will go ahead and optimize it, right? So super simple. Let's go to the next one, right? Color pattern. We've got, well, this one we've got the typography of the bird. So let's just go grab topography. Great. Let's go up here, upload the file, and we'll do Bill on this one. And this last one, well, we want to put actually the sounds to show them. How do we do it? And the answer is, I don't think you can, right? It only does an image. So that means already, if this was my content plan, I absolutely could not use this native block. I am going to have to move on to the next method of working. But we don't care here. We're going to go ahead and keep working with this just to see how native blocks work. I'm just pointing out that this is where the low control comes in, right? So let me even see if I can spoof it and just throw in the thing what it does. File type is not supported, right? So obviously it's not there, but let's go ahead and hit save and close and take a look at it. Well, that's nice. It has it open all the way. That's nice too. That's not too big, you know. Ooh, that's kind of a big, long image. Can we constrain that in some way? I feel like that's just a little too much of scrolling. Also notice, right, the image has to come first. It's putting those images in. Again, your control is limited. So what can I do? Let's go back to content and see if there's any way to fix an image. So let's click on this. We want the bird shapes. Let's click on this. Flip, size, croc. How about resize? Let's give it a width of 300. Save. Save and close. Go check it out. So all it did was downsize it. It didn't actually change the CSS size. And now it's blurry because of that, right? So that's terrible. That's not how we want it. So that's terrible. We would never be able to use that. So maybe we can't constrain the images this way. Let's just go back over here real quick, see what else we got up here. Rotate, draw, filter, hashtag filter. No, we don't want any of that. What's in these 3 dots? Oh, it brings up the alt text. Later, that'll become important. Okay, so we can't exactly manage them there. So let's just hit save and close. Let's go into settings and start looking at things. Actually, let's go back to content, because you know what? Let's actually start going through our 5As now. We've got a basic setup. We know we couldn't get in the thing. Let's switch to our 5As and let's start with appearance, right? So appearance, let's remember, what do we have in appearance? Well, the design, structural design, expressive design, attendant text. Really, that's the thing that's going to be the most important for us, right? This native block, yeah, it's got a design already. It's got good structural design. I don't see anything we'd really need to change. We don't really care in this class about high expressive design. What we care about is really clean design. So really, but we could do those things. So don't get me wrong. If you wanted to, you could go to settings, right? And start looking for, like here, item styles. So maybe we want to change the background color. And I'm going to go ahead and make it, green. So now, obviously, this is applying to everything. I don't know that you can change them per. Now, obviously, let's remember our A accessibility, that we should be able to read our things off the background. We could change our text color. You see, we have a bunch of things we could do here. I'm going to go ahead and remove that color and let it just stay to its thing. Typography here. So the title would probably be the bill shape, and then the description is all our content. So again, we could change things. We could change font families if we really wanted to. So we could change the appearance. We're just, for this one, we're not really going to. We don't need to. Great. Block header. Well, we don't even have a block header yet. So let's save and close that, and let's start making the attendant text. So let's go into content, and let's put in a block header. So our block title is, right, we have in our thing, we have bird identification clues. And then I have a little introduction here. There we go. Save and close. Okay, so you see the way it put it up. So now we have attendant text. Again, back to appearance. Do I like the way that is? Personally, I find this to be too much space. I kind of want these things on the left. So let's go play with the appearance a little bit more. Let's go to settings. And so right here, block width, 8 columns. So this uses, notice what's happening here. I can change this like this. And notice it's only really changing the accordion for whatever reason. There must be another place to do the attendant text here. I'm going to go ahead and leave that at 8 and centered, because that seems to make the most sense. While we're here, let's just look at the capabilities. Accordion claps all items except for the selected one. Okay, I like that one. So let's click that. What happens there is when I have one open and I go to click the other, it'll close that other one, right? Do you want that behavior? Maybe. It is sometimes a little confusing. So let's see if this next one, scrolling to expanded item, save. And now when I click on this one and I come down here, right, it keeps me at the top of this one pretty much. So that's probably a little handier. I don't like when it closes stuff and then one's longer than the other. It gets confusing. Let's look what else we got here. Okay, block header. This is the block header. So this is where we can start playing with what we want for the spacing, alignment, right? Maybe I'll put it to the left, right? I'll save and close and look at it. Now it's all the way over here. So I have to obviously use that same grid system. So settings, block header. Let's get out of 12 columns. It's got that same system, right? So I'll pull 2 in, pull 2 in. I want it left aligned. I would think there's too much space here, so I'm going to go ahead and, well, you know what, the font size is too big too. I'm going to put that down to 18. I'm going to leave the fonts the same. I'm going to go to more settings. I'm going to find the bottom margin. I'm going to set it to 0. Get rid of some of that. Block description, font size. Let me bring it down to 16 pixels. Show more settings. I'm going to also bring that bottom margin down to 0. Save and close. And there it is. Don't like it, right? So still need to fix the space. Setting. What was it in? Block header. So it looks like this needs looks like this over here, we actually need to keep our margin bottom to 10 pixels. Is there a margin top that we can use? Block title, show more settings. Top margin, let's bring that one down to, let's bring it down to 5 pixels and see how that looks. Yeah, I don't know where this space is coming from. I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me do this, but I would look for spaces. Now this is pretty small compared to these, so I guess I didn't do a good selection there, so I'll kind of come back in and bring this back up to 24 pixels or something, right? 0 margin, sure, right? So I'd probably make this bigger than these, right? But, or at least the same size, but we're fine. So again, it's like figuring out what you want to do. This space is driving me crazy. We'd have to go looking in our settings. It's going to be some kind of margin, really is all it's going to be. So more settings. So top margin, bottom margin, top margin. Let's go to 0 pixels. Just try to eat it as much as possible. That's about as good as maybe we're going to get. Again, lack of control versus that. So maybe then I would add more margin here just to make this feel better. I don't know. Not super concerned with this, but obviously in your final project, you should make things as clean as possible, no matter what you're using. Okay. So we're got this image problem where this one image is too high. Obviously, we would have to re-upload this because it downsized it, and that's terrible. Is there any settings we could use? Let's go looking. We got item styles, and if we look through here, right, you could play with whatever you want here. I don't see anything. Oh, there it is, image width. All right, so let's say I want my image width to be 300 pixels. Save and close. Now the problem with that becomes every image goes to 300 pixels. So I don't love that, right? I would like the control to size each individual image, but it's just not giving you that choice, right? So you either got to live with it or go use a different tool. Again, I'm kind of showing you that the native blocks are good until they're not, right? Other things in here, animation, right? If we want to animate like how this comes into the page, we don't need to do that. SEO, default title tag. I wonder where this gets placed, right? But that is good to know. I'm not really sure where it would put this. And we can look at the code once we preview it. Good thing to know. So that's appearance. I've got appearance down, right? Asset optimization. Well, you just saw we didn't have to do anything. We could upload our images of any size, the bigger the better, and it will automatically create our images in the right way. Now, we didn't get to upload the audio because this didn't do it, but we'd want to make sure the audio was small enough. So we don't have to do anything else there. Okay, all devices, responsive sizing, desktop versus mobile interaction. So what do we do here? Let's save and close. Let's go to preview, right? So when we preview it, right, we're previewing it on a desktop, but we can go up here and preview it on mobile. What's it going to look like on mobile? And on mobile, it looks pretty much perfect, right? There's nothing I really need to do here. So again, this is low responsibility. Now, there's times maybe where things won't be going right. So let me go back to the editor. So what happens, right, if you didn't like the way something is on mobile? Well, you switch to mobile view, you can go into your settings, and, right, you can, I don't know if it changes it there, but I know I saw, right, if you see here font size, and you see this little desktop icon, that means you're working on the desktop, and it'll apply to desktop and mobile. But if I click on that, it opens up the mobile, and I can go ahead and change whatever it is I want it to change for mobile. So there's lots of places there where I could do that. When all else fails, and you need sometimes in Tilda, I have found that you need to design it 2 different ways, depending on what you're doing. And so what I would do is actually, turn it off so you wouldn't be able to see this item on mobile, right? If I did this, right, you wouldn't be able to see the item on mobile in a real preview, right? I think so. Let's try that. So here, and I do that, and look, it doesn't exist there. And so you would build it a second way for mobile and just set it to the opposite settings of what we just right, of what we just set, right? So that's sometimes something you have to do in these builders is build them in two ways. We're not going to do that here, so we can go ahead and leave this as is, and right, it's doing it for us. The last thing is accessibility, right? And that is the toughest part usually, but let's see what Tilda does, because we don't really have full control to do these things. Obviously this is part of the design, readability and contrast. We're kind of at the leisure of our builder to put in the correct HTML elements, but you did see there was that one place where we could set, hey, let's make that an H1. We don't have any captions or transcripts, but what we really do have is alt text. We have images, right? So we should definitely go into content, look at our items, find that image, and go to that little, whoops, not that one. It is in the little 3 dots here, image, right? And so we would write something like bird silhouettes pointing out the shapes of various families of birds, right? Something like that, something descriptive. And we do that for all of our images, right? So we'd say bird topography chart, right? And we'd say multiple bill shapes as a diagram, or whatever it is we're going to put in there, right? Save and close. All right, let's go back into preview mode. Now, I don't love having it in preview mode when I start to look for more things. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and not be in preview mode. I'm going to go ahead and press the publish button here. So now you'll get the link to whatever your page is. It'll be something like /yourname tutorials. I like to get to a normal published page to look at this. So I can start doing things like, let me just use my tab and return. Notice I can tab and return and these will open. So that passes my keyboard access. That's great. We don't have to worry about keyboard access, right? So that's whoops, where are we at here? Keyboard access. Reduce motion concerns. There's not a ton of motion here. I don't think there's anything in this that I would deal with. Non-color only, meaning we didn't do anything like make green, like yes, but you just add a check mark and green. Clear instructions, tell what they're doing. That is one thing we didn't quite do. We didn't say, hey, click on a thing. But at the same time, an accordion is such a common pattern that it's not as, and the plus, it's a learned convention, a learned pattern, right? So I probably wouldn't put any kind of text there in this one, assuming everyone knows how. Area, hey, we're at the native thing. So let's just check out what's going on with this. I'm going to look at the page code. I hit Command Option U. Oh, and it's not even wrapped, right? So I'm just going to do a search for area and see, oh, look, it does have area controls in it. That's great. So yeah, I mean, that's all there. So it does a good job of accessibility, I think, for the most part, out of the box. Okay, close. And so our very last thing is attribution and disclosure, right? So we need to go ahead and say where we got this information from. We didn't write this information. We took that information and we repurposed it a little bit. So did I put it in here? I forgot to put attribution. And magically I'm back. So I did figure out what was going on here. If you notice here, there's some space here. I accidentally just put a return in there. So that fixes that and makes this nicer. So our last thing is attribution. So I want to put some attribution, but I can't just add something under here. So I got to use a whole new block for that. I'm going to find a text block. I just need a simple little tiny text block. Throw that there, and now look how far it is. I got to figure out how to get those together. But let's grab the text that I wrote, which I wound up just saying information summarized. I don't know why I couldn't write that on the video. It just, my brain's not working. All right, so now we got to get these closer. How do we get these closer? Well, first of all, let's style this a little bit. If I select text, you'll notice I have this stuff up here, or I could go into settings and do it there, which is probably safer. If I go to typography, I go to font size. It only lets you go down to 10. Can I go to 10 pixels? Yeah, I can go down to 10 pixels. Let's do 12 though, and leave it there. That's good enough. So I'm gonna have to match the. I want it to appear like it's part of this block, so I'll just match the block there. Woo! Colors on the page, and then it's just okay. Top padding 0. Getting closer. Save. Let's go back up to this block, go into settings. Let's find bottom padding 0. Oh, there it is. Save and close. So that information summarized from bird identification guidance by Mass Audubon and Cornell Lab of Ornithology. But I also have some images in here. I've got to do those. I've got to put those in. So it doesn't look like I can build them anywhere into the image. It looks like it just has to be part of this. So let's go back into content. Let's go to items. I'm going to go here and get out of that. Go over here, find, like, I'll just do one. You only have to do one for this tutorial. So I'll grab this. Like, we're pretending it's from the Massachusetts Audubon and it's Creative Commons, byline 4.0, right? So you should know how to do those. Grab that, and I'm going to make that smaller. So let's, oh my god, it doesn't let you type in a font size? Like, I want it to go smaller than that. Okay, this is where the control comes in. There's got to be a way to do that. How about, what if I make it superscript? Haha, I'll just fake it. That is totally a wrong way to do it. That is faking it, and you should never do it that way unless you're doing something like this, because it's not technically superscript. And maybe even, can you change the text color? Let's bring it down a little bit so it's not quite, but it's still got to be readable. Oops, you got to have it all selected when you do that. No. Text color, there we go. I'll just make it a little lighter. Apply. Again, you got to worry about, you still want it to be a thing, right? So that's it. So, ooh, right, I just put that, so I'd probably put photo, colon, right? That's it. Save and close. And there it is. Photo, colon, Massachusetts Audubon. As a matter of fact, it's so super simple. You can just go ahead and grab this. Let's see if it'll keep the styles when I bring it in. Yes, it will. Give it a little space. This one, we'll put it in here. Give it a little space. This one, we don't have an image. Save and close. And right when you're done, what you have to do is, it's not live, right? Our preview would still look like our old preview, right? To prove that, I'll go refresh this. So you got to go in, you always got to hit the publish button in tilde when you want to make it live. And now when I go to this page, right, it'll be all fixed and exactly as I mostly want it. So as you see, native builders are great and easy, and use them as much as you can, except when they do not give you the capabilities that you want. And that is our first tutorial. So this will be just your first of 4 in this module.